does it really count as Xenoblade news if the whole news is that people are reading too much into things and getting their expectations up, and there isn't actually any news at all? I don't know, but this needs to be talked about because people are just not thinking at all. Not too unusual, but this time it's related to Xenoblade. The lead character designer of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Masasugo Saito, has appeared to be an actual fan of the game as a product and not just something he worked on pretty much since release. He's continued to draw stuff, posting on his personal account and not even like going through Monolith for certain occasions, and he's still continued to draw art of Xenoblade 2 characters even after Torna released, or the last thing that he actually worked on. He's also talked about the game separately on occasions, and appears to be at least somewhat involved in the fandom because he's even referenced Think You Can Take Me once before, which is really cool because his language's version of the game doesn't have that in it, as far as I know. So it's really interesting seeing someone who worked on a game be that involved with the fandom to the point of knowing a meme from a different translation than the one he would have played. It's kind of cool, I guess, because he designed characters and didn't write the story or design the gameplay, he could still enjoy it as a separate product. Like, he knew what most of the characters looked like because he drew them, but he might not have gotten all the big story details and stuff. Anyway, though, on April 6th, he tweeted, VR... ... That was the entire tweet, and it came a couple days after the official announcement of Nintendo Labo VR. People, for some reason, were immediately... Well, obviously they started making jokes with, oh, the Mario looking in the VR thing and seeing a random thing. That was memed already, so yeah, people were making, oh, haha, he's looking at Pyra's boobs. But people were also legitimately interpreting that as, oh, hey, guess what? We're getting Xenoblade 2 VR. Now, it's worth mentioning, Mario Odyssey got a VR mode, and Breath of the Wild is going to be fully playable in VR. I really wanted to play Breath of the Wild again, and I think I'm going to do that if they release the VR Labo templates for free, because I don't care about, like, the software that comes with that, where you could do the independent, not other games VR stuff, but I really want to try Breath of the Wild in VR, so if I don't have to spend $80 on it, I'm definitely going to do it. Anyway, though, those two were obviously the biggest hitters of early Switch. Obviously, Smash was probably the third with Pokemon in there too, but neither of those two are games that could lend themselves very well to VR. So, obviously, they're going to go with the two most recognizable, best-selling games on the system, and Breath of the Wild, I do agree, lends itself better to VR, being big open world, that kind of thing, so it sucks that Odyssey didn't get the full VR treatment and only Breath of the Wild did, but if I had to choose one of them, it definitely would have been the game with the huge open world designed by Monolith Soft. So, obviously, I would love Xenoblade 2 VR. I would love to see any of the Xenoblade worlds in VR, and I'm sure someone was able to mod one on Dolphin, and X is coming along eventually, so that's cool, and we might get unofficial versions, but obviously I'd love to see an official version of it. But Masasugo Saito is not an employee of Monolith Soft or Nintendo. First off, note how the two games chosen were first-party Nintendo games, like Nintendo-owned original franchises, their legacies, their best two things that they own exclusively, and not still a niche JRPG series that had a very divisive entry on the Switch despite being the best-selling one. Also, he was brought on as a character designer. He doesn't work for Monolith Soft, and Monolith Soft would still have to answer to Nintendo. It would probably be Nintendo giving out the order like, hey, guys, either we'll work on this or you work on this, but we want to put Xenoblade 2 on VR. The character designer, who is a freelancer, who is not an employee of the studio, first off, he wouldn't know it at all if they were doing that. And second off, he probably wouldn't be told until it was released. Like, this could have been him reacting to, oh, I only just now saw the announcement of Labo VR being a thing. He doesn't actually tweet very much, which is important to note. Like, he tweeted March 29th once, April 4th once, and then April 6th when he made the VR tweet. And since then, he has only tweeted once on the 10th. So he only does it every couple days, and they generally seem to be just a few observations or sometimes retweeting some anime-related thing or something related to what he worked on, like he retweeted the Mithra figure earlier in March, and I'm just going to check his replies now. It doesn't seem that... yeah, he doesn't reply much at all. So, March 29th, he said, during the design work of Xenoblade 2, I used to listen to the soundtrack of Xenoblade, according to the translation, which probably means he listened to Xenoblade 1's soundtrack, which makes sense. Then April 4th, the actual day Labo VR was announced, he said, I'm starving. And then on the 6th, he said VR, which was the only one in English, so the only one that obviously didn't require a translation. So, why are people thinking this means anything? I don't know. You shouldn't think this means anything. It is an incredibly cryptic tweet by someone who isn't directly connected to anyone, who would, first off, be making the decision to bring Xenoblade 2 to VR, or be among the first people to tell or have any say in it. He doesn't own anything. He seems to be proud of the recognition that his characters from Xenoblade 2 got, because he continues to engage in the fandom and all that stuff. But he doesn't own the characters, he doesn't own the game, he wouldn't have a say in whether or not it came to Labo VR, and I don't know. If the Monolith Soft Twitter just tweeted VR ... then yeah, maybe you'd have a case. And even then, it would be, oh, hey, look at that, we made part of Breath of the Wild, that's in VR now. Like, even if the Twitter of the studio that made the game said something about VR, it could still be interpreted as not a Xenoblade thing. Would I love to see Xenoblade 2 VR? Yes. Does this mean we're getting it? No. Stop jumping to conclusions. Stop assuming things based on random evidence. Use your brains, please. I don't like having to be the one constantly getting on my soapbox and, in all regards, abusing my position as someone people will listen to and well-known voice in the community to have to yell at people that, no, you're doing this wrong, think more, please. I don't like having to do this, but be smarter and I won't have to, I guess? I don't know. But yeah, that's all I got. D&D Melia is this weekend, because that's what the patron poll voted. And until next time, which is going to be that, this is Luxon, signing off.